say, remember, if I give you a trinomial like this, number 1, x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. If you factorize this, you will get x plus y all squared. Okay? So x squared plus 2xy plus y squared equal to x plus y all squared. Right? Then the second one is x squared minus 2xy plus y squared equal to x minus y all squared. Like that. These two are called perfect square trinomials. Perfect square trinomials. And we are going to use them to solve the quadratic equation. Right? So I'll say here, allow me to just go to the next page because I don't want to end up moving the next page whilst I'm doing working out. So can you please just copy that quickly? I'm going to put and do an example just now. All right. Can you copy that quickly? I'm going to do a very simple example. Okay. Right. This example, I'm going to take it from the worksheet. Right. That's exercise 6. Question 2. I'm going to start with a simple one. So if I give you a quadratic equation like x squared plus 4x plus 1 equal to 0, you need to know that this equation can be solved, okay, without any factorization, but by using the concept of completing the square, which requires knowledge of perfect square trinomials. So what you do first is that if the equation does not have a coefficient of x squared which is equal to 1, you have to divide every term by the coefficient of x squared. Now fortunately here, the coefficient of x squared is a 1, so it makes things easy. So first thing, I take the positive 1 to the right, okay, so that I'll have x squared plus 4x equal to negative 1. That's the first step. To do that, you have to make sure the coefficient of x squared is a 1. Then, on the right, yes? Then you divide each term by 2 first. To make the coefficient of x squared equal to what? To 1. Right? You have to divide each term by 2 to make sure that the coefficient of x squared is a 1. Don't worry, I'm going to do an example where the coefficient is not a what? Is not a 1. So I'm starting with a simple example. But then when you get here now, your knowledge of perfect square trinomials is required. We need to add here. We need to add a term here, such that that term will make us have what is called a perfect square trinomial on the left-hand side of that equation. Okay? So your knowledge of factorization is extremely important. But the good thing is that there's a technique to get that term. All you have to do is find half of that coefficient. What is half of 4? It's a what? It's a positive 2. So what you do is, you add the square of 2 in this case, or you add the square of half of 4. You add the square, then you subtract the square, which means it's almost like you are adding 0, but you are adding 0 in a smart way. Okay? All right. Wait. Do you agree with me that half of 4 is a 2? So I'm saying we write it as this: x squared plus 4x, right? Half of 4 is a what? It's a 2. So we add the square of 2. Okay? Then we also subtract it. Minus 2 squared. No, it's not. What is the result? What answer do you get there? 0. Why? Yeah, because we want to solve the quadratic equation. So for us to do that, we need to create a perfect square trinomial that we can factorize and then carry on to solve the question. So by doing this 2 squared minus 2 squared, we are going to create a perfect square trinomial. That's nice. So on the right-hand side, we have got minus 1. Now, do you agree with me that I can write this as x squared plus 4x plus 4 minus what? 4 equal to what? Minus 1. Do you agree with me on that? Do you also agree with me that this is a perfect square trinomial? Can you look please? What I highlighted in blue is a perfect square trinomial. We can factorize it. So all we have to do is take this minus 4 to the right. Okay? So that you end up having x squared plus 4x plus 4 is equal to. Now minus 4 plus 4 will give you a positive what? 3. Then this trinomial is a perfect square trinomial. I can factorize it and I'll get x plus 2 squared is going to be equal to 3. Okay? So how do you know that the number in the bracket, when you're making a big square, what if you add x plus 4? You're talking about it. It's about factorization. You see here, a perfect square trinomial, whenever you factorize it, you get 2 identical binomial factors. Always. And how do you know that it's a perfect square trinomial? First, the first term must be a square, right? That's number 1. This first term must be a square. The middle term must be it must be 2 times the product of the square root of the first term and the square root of the last term. So what is the square root of x squared? It's x. What's the square root of y squared? It's y. X times y? xy. xy times 2? 2xy. Okay? Now let's check out the example that I'm doing. If I'm here, right? The first term is a perfect square. The third term is also a perfect square. Like here. This is a perfect square. That's a perfect square. Okay? The middle term is actually a result that you get. If you find the square root of the first term and the square root of the third term, you multiply them, and then multiply that product by 2. So, here, the square root of x is what? So, if the square root of x squared is x, what's the square root of 4? Is 2. So, you end up having x plus x times 2 gives you what? 2x. Right? But the middle term must be 2 times this. So if I multiply that by 2, I'll end up getting 4 what? 4x. That's how we end up getting this. Okay. And how do you know that this second term is supposed to be a 2? It's the square root of that. And this, the square root of x squared is this. If there's a plus here, you also put a plus there. Your grade 9 and 10 teachers were supposed to use taught you that. Yes? What? Okay, I'm not understanding what you're trying to say. Yes. Yeah. No. You see, this part here is 2 squared minus 2 squared. 2 squared minus 2 squared gives you a 0, which means you go back here. But this is a technique that will help you to solve it without using the method of factorization directly. Remember, so far you have solved quadratic equation by factorizing grade 9 and grade what? 10. If I were to ask you now to factorize this trinomial, you won't be able to do it. Not all quadratic equations can be solved by factorization. Okay? So I'll carry on from here. In fact, can you give me a chance just to write the answer here? Alright, so I stopped here. Just give me a second. The next thing, you find the square root on both sides. So you end up having x plus 2 squared, all squared, times the square root of 3, but you have to put plus or minus there. Then you get x plus 2 equal to plus or minus the square root of 3. Now, this plus or minus is an indicator that you get two answers. So, you end up having to take this 2 to the right. You end up getting x equal to minus 2 plus or minus the square root of 3. So, this will be your two solutions. Right? You can